Copyright disclaimer.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Bill, and this is Trying to Stand, where I try new things in pop culture because I've been living under a rock. Been a while since a Trying to Stand, just going in with no context and seeing what happens. In a minute, I'll be cutting to my first time watching the pilot for Lackadaisy, which dropped on YouTube a couple days ago as of recording this, probably a week or so ago when this actually comes out. This is all new to me. I've never really done pilots, really, so I don't know. If you like this and want more videos where I break this kind of barrier, let me know. I know there's a lot of other independent YouTube animation things, so let me know by watching, liking, clicking, sharing, getting other people to watch and like and click, subscribing if you haven't, ringing the bell, checking the settings, blah blah blah. Or you can pick up some merch at thethirdbill.com. All that is linked in the description with my gaming channel, Build Show Gaming. Speaking of the description, there's also a link there to a card that will send you to resources for social awareness and education, mental health and crisis lines, Trevor Project resources, things like that, should you or someone you know need them. I'm worried that this is gonna clash with the kind of content people like from me. Like, there's times where my brain's gonna go, I wish this had more time to breathe, and it's like, no, a pilot needs to cram as much information in a short amount of time as possible. So it's a very new thing for me. I also want to give a shout out to Morgan Terry, who encouraged me to check this out. Thank you, Morgan. Oh yeah, before I forget, there's also a warning for photosensitivity. So if you haven't heard of Lackadaisy and you want to check it out, let me throw that at you as soon as I can. And I appreciate them doing the same. Go check out Lackadaisy and go check out Morgan's video and leave a comment saying thank you for making the third bill watch this. I definitely wouldn't have found this without Morgan, so thank you. But I also probably would have looked at it and kind of joked to myself, I probably won't like this because when I was 7 or 8, my grandparents took me to Blockbuster, that makes me sound old, to rent Cats Don't Dance, and I didn't like it when I was a child. I remember my grandpa asking me why I didn't like it, and I said, because they're liars. Those cats danced. It already has the job, on top of being a pilot in a new concept to introduce to the world. It has to help my inner child get over my animosity for era-specific animated cat projects. All right, time to cut to me watching Lackadaisy, and then back here for the thinky thoughts.
I promise in my rewatch I'll use headphones. Prohibition is involved. Ooh, I like that.
Old Man River. That seems far too austere a name for something made of mirth and rage. Is old the thing to call what reigns the vernal heart of Western lore?
Please don't make me analyze Showboat.
A faulty haloed temperance and Wilter's self-sure countenance.
I'm just watching and enjoying.
It's abundantly clear you forgot us down here.
Encore?
I like to do it again.
Should I add a dance? Extra stanzas?
Cats aren't allowed to dance.
That came from. Please don't ruin musical theater for everyone. Provide the
Dead. Well, good thing we got this hole. I really like the line work.
Herman Hapfem?
Is this an actual grave? Nope, goodbye. Going home.
I wish my mom was here. What?
What?
Blasphemy!
Ooh, that was cool.
Oh, for a moment there, I thought it was your mom.
Rude. Wait, is it an actual grave or is it booze? I mean juice. Soda. Thank God. I do enjoy Canadian soda.
Right, we've been so discreet up until now.
Thank you. I'm like, this guy is so loud. That's not a flashlight. Yeah, I was never given a name. No. That's essentially what a cat does to me every time. So I am allergic.
We have other business to tend to. Yeah.
Ooh, who's the formal one? Use our words. Use our words. That was cool.
But you want to take over driving back there? No.
Who's the fancy cat? Talk it out. You need to do something. Did he just bail? Do you want to talk about it, bud? Feelings aren't prohibited. Well, that's just gonna make him find you faster. Turn off the dark, speaking of musical theater. No.
I'll throw them away. You start the car. Please.
Thank you for saying please. Let's try talking it out. There you go. I like the emotional attachment got the better of him after what they said to him. Okay, good. What? Jesus. Is he okay? Oh, right. Cats. That didn't register. I accepted the illusion of fantasy. Oh, nice.
Speaking of tragedy, we got an old supplier back. The funeral home.
Who are you talking to? Are you talking to me, or are you talking to a ghost?
However unbecoming, Atlas. That's my cue.
Called it. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. Unless he was a bad guy. Also, I like that it's the Daisy Cafe, so it's like a flower store. It's clever. It looks nice. Are we waiting for flowers? Hi.
Got to look like someone the patronage can tell their troubles to. More of a confidant.
Wash your hands. That's not food safety.
Hello.
Oh. No, check her ID. Why does it sound like glass is breaking? It's scaring me. Cut the... Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
Mr. Sable.
Cheers.
How does that... Was that his quarry? I'm confused. Sing. Ooh, I like that.
Connect me to Mr. Sweet, please.
I like to ask him to join the Avengers Initiative.
Ruthless, infamous hatchet man Mordecai Heller is calling me to ask for a ride.
Dad, come pick me up.
But more to the point, one of our suppliers appears to be double-dealing. They're clumsy and likely to draw attention.
Time to tie up some loose ends.
Watch out for you got... Okay. That was cool. In spite of it all, yeah. Okay, that was his quarry. Okay, that's funny. I mean, I'll talk about it more in a second, but I like that. I think there's a really solid, like, really great handful of ideas. It definitely left me, like, enticed for more, which is the point of, like, a pitched pilot.
I'm so surprised how much I liked this. Again, I'm not a big pilot guy. I've never really sought out, like, independent YouTube stuff. And again, I want to get better at that. Like and subscribe. I'm really surprised at how much I liked this, because I feel like you could have made such a paint by the numbers. The aesthetic will tell the story. This really did an amazing job. Like, this could be set in space. The characters are so engaging and the world is so informed. There's a handful of characters that really have like an interesting, they're clinging to some sort of sentimentality or nostalgia, you know, whether it's was it Mitzi? Someone called her Miss M, so I wrote Miss M, so apologies. I'm trying to remember all the names. Mitzi has an obvious attachment to the bar because of the memory of her late husband, and dreaming of reclaiming that glory day they used to have, and you feel that desperation there, and it's such a great inverse of Rocky, especially in his soliloquy, which turned out to be playing out in real life, which is very fun and informative of his character. There's such a beautiful love that Rocky has, you know, while he's, you know, why do we call the Mississippi River Old Man River? That implies that your time is over, or that you're outdated, or you're old. And yes, you've seen so many wonderful things, but you're still such a vital part of us. There's such a love there for the time that he's in and the marvel of nature, while also, yes, there's also bugs, there's also problems. Like, it's also not perfect. I love seeing these characters interact with each other as well as their situation and and their surroundings. I'll start focusing in and going in order, speaking of that soliloquy. It was such an interesting way of like, oh, like, welcome to our story, welcome to our show. You know, there's a curtain pole, and it's, here's the setting, here's the time, here's some music, here's some beautiful visuals. And then after finishing the pilot and watching it a second time to take notes with headphones in, there was something so telling about Rocky's character, this passion that he has, and it feels like he wants to be a part of this world. Then you start to see like this hope in his eyes when he returns with only 3 bottles of spicy juice. Just trying to keep it as YouTube safe as possible, which to those about to animate, we salute you. Good for you for sticking to your vision and your wants, as YouTube, the platform, changes its rules a lot with your spicy juice and your animated violence and all that stuff. I'll be trying my best to be as ad friendly as possible for the sake of paying my bills. Good for you for not changing that. Although I did have a brief theory that after all this, it was going to turn out to be fake and they accidentally stole just a bottle of juice and they were tricked. I also thought the grave was going to be real. Like, I was like waiting for some sort of twist, and I like that the twist was this was their first, or at least one of their first attempts. Already I thought, if Rocky's playing violin and saying that he has got the spaghetti arms, like, he's clearly new to this or over it. But again, passion tells me he's not over it. So if he's this silly and being this loud, he must be new. And then, oh, all 3 of them are kind of new and figuring this out. There's a reaction to having to dig up a grave. I like seeing them kind of be uncertain and try to be calm and try to get through the unpleasantries and downplay the setting that they're in, which is beautiful. There's so much like creativity and interesting visuals and characters, and the animation is, the animation's so cool. I really love seeing the line work. It reminds me of old trailers in like the 90s. Sometimes there'd be trailers where like the line work and the roughs are a part of the visuals. Like, I remember it being for like Mulan and Tarzan, and there was something that always like filled me with such magic and wonder as I'm watching the drawings move, and it kind of reminded me of that. And I don't know, I just found that really special to see the circles and some of the lines, and then sometimes they would inform. Like, there's one on, I keep saying Mitski, there's a line that forms around Mitzi's face in the bar, but it kind of rests on her eyes and it makes it look like she has bags around her eyes. And this is as we're commiserating over the questionable success rate of this bar that means so much to her. And the settings, I loved that we start the dead of night, but we have like owls and fireflies and like the bright lights from the train and the harsh silhouettes, the cat's eyes glowing, all this vibrancy in the dead of night, and then all this warm lighting in this bar that's just devoid of life. I loved that roller coaster of setting and location. That storytelling is so strong. So not only is it very creative, but it's executed so well. And it was exciting to like sink my teeth into all those things. I also really liked seeing and feeling like the 2 trios that we see, Rocky, Freckles, and Ivy versus Mordecai, Nico, and Asa, the 2 trios, the rival gangs that are, fighting over this hall. And it already raises the question, is this a test? Are they racing for the same bounty to give it to the same person? Are they stealing? I really like all the questions that the conflict already brings, but then those 2 sets of trios are kind of a jumble of each other. Rocky, who's very loud and boisterous, talking so much in these big grand monologues and soliloquies, and then we have Fancy Cat, my cat husband, Mordecai. He's very quiet. He's very collected. Both of them are told by their respective groups, you gonna join in and help or what? Like, it's so interesting. One's laid back, reserved, and the other one's goofing off and having a big, boisterous time. And also even their eyes, like Rocky's eyes are like completely blue and stand out in very big ways. And then Mordecai's, he has glasses. There's a barrier over his eyes and his feelings. It's so cool. And then we have like our 2 drivers and how they're very different. One's very big and confident. The other one's like kind of coded young, I guess, based on how, the bartender didn't want to serve her at first. And she had a much more adverse reaction to the spicy juice than everyone else. Calling it sophisticated also made me think this was like your first glass of juice. And then same thing with Freckles and Asa, I'm sorry. The 2 people skilled in weapons. I loved the line, play us a symphony, but like it's in pieces. He has to assemble it. He's hesitant. He's like overwhelmed by it. And yet here's his counterpoint, ready to go, knowing your role and being familiar. It was like seeing like that gap in experience, but also how they're matching in so many ways. And then also like the pairings weren't clashing up, right? Especially with Freckles versus Mordecai. And yet they also are the ones that have a vested interest in the well-being of Ivy. Whatever the reasoning is, I like that dynamic. There was sometimes, especially with Freckles, I picked up on like a romantic flirty chemistry, but you can also just say please and care about somebody who you don't want to get with. But it did have a nice flirty chemistry to it. And then with Mordecai, I wondered if it was love. I wonder if maybe he like tried to keep her away from this life, or he took care of her or looked after her in some way, or she reminds him of somebody, but she looked back at him. So I think it was direct. And he gets called out for it too, the sentimentality. And then you also see it with Freckles. Freckles could have maybe gotten the drop on Mordecai, but his sentimentality, his attachments pulled him away. I like this theme of caring being the detriment of success in this underworld. I really found it interesting, and I'm like, what's the history here? What's the motivation here? Seems like you usually don't make this mistake, so what's going on? It was just so cool. Yeah, I loved Play Us a Symphony. Like, it's like that excitement in the line, but also like, you're having a lot of fun for such a serious moment. The circus that he sees and the way he just becomes so unhinged, the chaos that he brings into everything. It's so nice juxtaposed to, you know, someone so collected who has the auditory response of a ticking clock. Something I also liked being kind of parallel to the visual of the hand of the ghost on Mitzi's shoulder. I love seeing the different ways of illustrating these characters. It was never repetitive, or to the point where when it does connect, like Rocky and Freckles, they're cousins. Rocky and Freckles kind of both have this overwhelming, that fire that Freckles talked about. That felt intentionally connected as opposed to repetitive because everything else was so different. It makes that moment stand out where I'm like, what's up with you guys? Like, what's your story? Is this a trauma thing, or do you have an affinity for this, or is this a special skill? Is this Breaking Bad? But I love these emotions getting in the way of the logistics of such a high stakes chase and action scene. And I love the logistics of the action scene. I love going out into the environment and seeing the cars and then pulling our focus back into the cars for the character responses to things. Play Us a Symphony. Are you gonna do anything? I liked going from like the big action pieces and setting and then back into the characters. And then it's so vibrant when you see the character burst out of the car to join into the action. I loved that. And I also loved like the flow too of, you know, now we're at this quarry. I love the reveal at the end that it was the rich guy's quarry. That was really fun. I loved as we're going from these big highs and the circus imagery, the big explosions, to the quiet, silent standoff showdown kind of moment, and then breaking that for something emotional, and then cutting all that intensity with a little bit of comedy with the water coming in and the cats hissing. And I like that they like reserved the cat element of it for a big moment like that made that moment not only stand out more in a great comedic way, right as everything feels so real and so dramatic and so intense, it kind of brings you back to the haha, yeah, it's kitties in cool suits. We're gonna be okay. Like it was like it gave you that moment of panic and then like a little reassuring fun moment. And then once all that's finished, we go to the bar, we meet Mitzi, Miss M. And even when I was editing my reaction, like I couldn't quite tell if Mitzi was talking to someone in the room or just like the soliloquy opening, like, are you talking to the ether and kind of breaking the fourth wall to give us information? Neither. Bravo. It was unexpected. And then, oh, it's the portrait of your late husband. This is giving me so much information. This is also telling me a lot about this character. And it's so interesting to see, you know, the first time we see this character, she's alone in a room. And then again, just like how it's juxtaposed to the nighttime full of life, going down into the bar, there's also not much energy to be given there. And she kind of wallows more in those emotions as she goes down into the bar, and there's hardly anyone there. There's no music playing. There's nothing to serve. And it like already starts to raise so many questions. I started to think to myself, like, why is this big bouncer like someone who would be hired for like muscle? He's big, he's intimidating. Like, why are you the bartender? Like, you're breaking the glass with your bare hand. Like, what happened to where you had to move to this station or be hired out of desperation? I really want to know what Miss M, Mitzi's relationship is with Rocky and Freckles and Ivy. Was she giving the kids a chance? Did she have no other choice? Rocky feels like he's this big hero and this grand when he like comes in, he's like so proud of himself to have only brought 3 bottles and the car's destroyed, and he still is so proud of himself, and she can't bring herself to tell him that the booze is contaminated, something that would actually happen historically from what little I remember from US history class. On the long list of reasons, that was a huge safety risk. She didn't have the heart to say it was bad. She didn't have the heart to say that maybe he's not cut out for this. Why do you care so much about his feelings? Are you just a really nice person? Do you have no one else willing to do this dangerous work right now? Or maybe you care about his well-being. Maybe he works there. Maybe you took care of him. Like maybe, your late husband liked him and gave him a shot or gave him a job or something. This says a lot about you in an indirect, interesting, give me more episodes, please kind of way, where I'm like, why do you care about his feelings? Your dream is dying. Your husband's ghost hand is touching you. She has enough at stake to be like, this sucks, you suck, leave. But she can't. And I'm like, why? It's just, it's so good. And it's not like the dialogue's like, well, I have no other choice. Like, it was just so subtextually enriching. Yeah. Outside graveyard, yet full of life. Inside, devoid of life. I loved that. Like the lack of energy with all that warm lighting, the details and the work that went into this. It's just so cool, and I love sinking my teeth into it. The irony of wishing to go back in time in an era-specific project. These characters yearning for simpler days of their past while they take place almost about 100 years in the past for us. I love seeing these characters kind of like get in their own ways and like also establishing history. The post-credit scene, it opens up a reminder that the world is bigger than the graveyard, the road, and Lackadaisy. This criminal underworld is at risk of being exposed because of how sloppy and loud and how horrible this all went. And not only is there a risk of, authorities finding them, but now also the criminal underground getting in their way, stopping them, trying to preserve what little agency and power that they have, the dragons of it all, and that visual of the burning flower, like it's a very upsetting visual to be coming from a shadowy, ominous figure. I really liked it. It sets us up for the world outside of these characters and the impact that they're probably going to have. The enticing possibilities of, danger can come from more places than obviously themselves or the business just failing. It was such a great last couple of bricks laid in the road. And I think this was just so well done. And also, I just want to say a huge congratulations to this team. I highly encourage you to check it out, or I hope maybe this video, if you have seen Lackadaisy, encourage you to go watch it again. Go do it and be like, man, the third bill was right. This moment was cool. Or tell me things that you noticed or things that I missed or things that you agreed with that I said. Or you can just say hi. But yeah, there you guys go. Those are my thoughts and some of the things I noticed in the pilot for Lackadaisy. Again, I don't really do videos like this, so if you want more of it, please let me know. Share this video around. I'm trying to find more things to sink my teeth into right now. And this just really did it for me, and I wanted to share the experience. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed. Again, thank you to Morgan Terry. Go check out Morgan's video about Lackadaisy. Go check out Lackadaisy. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. You got a lot of stuff to do. My gaming channel is in the description. I stream there twice a week, Bill Chill Gaming. My merch store is also in the description. Speaking of, there's also a link in the description to a card that will send you resources for social awareness and education, mental health and crisis lines, Trevor Project resources, things like that. Should you or someone you know need them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this was interesting and fun. I'd love to do more of these with independent projects and YouTube projects in the future. So again, liking, sharing, subscribing, following me on social media, blah, blah, blah. Those would all be great ways to let me know to keep going. I've been told I would like something called murder drones, and that sentence alone frightened me, but maybe I'll check it out. Let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope to see you next time I upload or go live. Hope everyone's staying safe. Remember to wear a mask if you go out. Be mindful of others. And remember to take care of yourselves, please.